We're live.
Welcome, Collin.
Thank you.
Today we have a special guest, Collin. He's from Polson, Montana. He's got a bachelor's degree from Montana State in exercise science. He's a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Or is it just Jiu-Jitsu?
Brazilian.
Okay.
Or Jiu-Jitsu.
All right.
Whatever.
He's studying to be a doctor. He's a mature soul for a young man of his age. And he's the best person in the world to go to a Cats game with.
I'd agree with that.
Welcome to the show.
Bonafide certified good time.
All right, we're live. Where are we going with this one?
I think we start from the beginning, man.
Yeah, Collin. Here's my, maybe this is going to be coined my official first question, but what's your earliest childhood memory?
My earliest?
Yeah.
Probably, so I was probably 3 to 5, I would think. And I just remember walking around our backyard.
This was so where were you living then?
So this was Naples, Florida.
Okay.
So we had a pool in the backyard. Specifically remember scorpions, jumping spiders.
Well, there's scorpions in Naples, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. All right.
Yep.
I thought they lived in the desert only.
How's the iguana population there?
Dude, everywhere. Well, what's crazy too is when they get cold snaps, they'll just freeze and die.
I think I've heard this.
Yeah, so you'll have iguanas that are in a tree, and then they'll just freeze to death, and then they'll just fall down. So you just have iguanas falling out of the trees.
It's exactly what Florida.
That's interesting.
Sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Huh.
Okay, then what? Take us through the young childhood. I mean, it seems like just yesterday because it basically was.
Compared to you guys, yeah.
Whoa. This is a family-friendly podcast.
So was born in Covington, Louisiana, which is about an hour outside of New Orleans. Lived there till I was 2. Then my dad got a job in Naples, Florida. So we were there till I was around 5. After that, we moved to Thompson Falls, Montana, just because my dad was super big into hunting. And when I was 13, we ended up moving to Polson, Montana, and that's where they are still.
Wait, do you hunt at all?
Not really. We did a little bit of turkey hunt. I'll still do birds, but I haven't done big game hunting since I was probably in middle school.
That's what he is, a big game hunter.
Yeah. So Louisiana doesn't have really any big game. They have deer and stuff, but it's much smaller. And so he just wanted to get out of the city and get in the mountains where you could do that.
Yeah.
So
because you can't really hunt crawfish.
No.
Not in the same way.
It's a bad joke.
How old are you?
24.
Oh my God.
I'll be 25 the end of next month.
Wow.
Then I can start doing drives for Tim.
Then it's legal for mountain wheel transportation.
Wow, you're 24 years old, man.
His frontal lobe's almost fully developed.
Right? Not really. You got 10 years, bro.
No, it's close to 25.
Yeah. Whatever.
All right, so then what? What was it like growing? What do you remember much about Florida or not really?
Not really.
Okay, so what was it like in Montana?
Super small town, probably 1,500, 2,000 people. A lot of fun is what I remember. We used to go. Everyone in the neighborhood was super close. So, we were always going over next people's houses, hanging out with them, or doing bike rides across town.
What do you got? Siblings?
Yeah, so I have a twin brother, and then
I feel like you've told me this 15 times.
Identical twin?
No, fraternal. Thank God.
Fraternal twin. Okay.
He didn't get that lucky.
Yeah, right.
The only one that looks like Collin.
Exactly.
So fraternal twin. What's his name?
Matthew.
I think you've told me that 15 times and just completely.
Where does he live now?
He's in San Diego.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
What's he doing there?
He's a nurse.
Okay. Cool.
Medical field.
Mm-hmm.
That's the industry.
Mm-hmm.
So wait. Sorry.
That's interesting. You guys are both in the medical field.
Mm-hmm.
Did you say any other siblings?
Yeah, my older sister.
Okay.
What'd she do?
She's an accountant up in Alaska.
Okay.
Yeah,
Where in Alaska?
in Anchorage.
Okay.
I got family in Alaska too.
Really, where at?
Fairbanks.
Nice.
Yeah. Haven't been, but
How long has she been up there?
2-3 years.
And how much older is she than you?
She's 27. So.
Okay.
does
got
she
it.
look like you at all?
I mean,
Tim's really wondering if she wants to come to Bozeman.
I was just wondering if you looked like Collin.
Shout out to Colin's sisters.
Like we've never talked about this.
you've never asked me. Dude.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, sorry. Continue.
Yeah, so she's an accountant up in Alaska. Probably gonna be there forever. She and her husband really love that. So
You're out of luck, bro.
so unless you want to go to Alaska, dude.
Cool. So your brother's in San Diego.
Yep.
What was it like growing up having a twin?
You know, that's kind of hard to say because that's all I know. You know, like I've just always had a twin. Well, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I don't know. This is what I'm used to.
That's a good point.
This is a very high level answer.
Yeah, well, I mean, basically, frontal lobe, Tim. Basically, it's just like having a brother, except everyone makes an effort to treat you the same. So, like, whenever we got invited to stuff, it was always like both of us together, or we'd always get the same Christmas presents, same birthday presents, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So that kind of sucked, dude.
That
Because like if I wanted something for Christmas, like half the time I would get what I want, or half the time I would get what he wants, or they would just like meet in the middle and then get us both something we don't want.
And this is from your parents or from other people?
From parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, imagine that.
You never really have your birthday. It's like it's together. It's your birthday.
Right.
Yeah. So I would imagine that when you're a kid, it can be annoying.
Did you find any ways to leverage this situation you were born into?
No, I should have, but no.
I'm going to go down a different rabbit hole. You ready?
Ready.
So I've heard, and I've somewhat witnessed this with other twins, that there's kind of like ESP or like, is it called telepathy? Yeah. Any of that that goes on still or used to go on?
Not really, dude. I don't really want to share like brainwaves with him.
Okay. All right. I mean, all right. Fair enough. So that's not like that didn't happen.
No, there was never. It's never like we've been able to like hear like have conversations in our head or anything like that. Apparently when we were super young though, we used to have like our own language that like we would talk to and do that, but that I don't remember any of that, so that was super young.
Yeah.
You might be an alien.
Maybe, dude.
All right, so tell us about the reservation. Okay, I've been wanting to ask you this question for a long time, Collin.
Okay.
Do you have any reservations about growing up on a reservation?
What do you mean by reservations?
Just anything you're kind of just holding on to that you're just not okay with.
There's a lot of Indians, too.
I'm just asking.
No, dude. I mean, it's really not that much different. Like, definitely going to Thompson Falls, where like, you know, everyone was white, same demographic, to then going to like, you know, there's like everyone's either native or they're related to native people. Like that was kind of different, but it's not that much different.
Yeah.
You know, they do have their own like tribal system, so they have like their own tribal cops and like tribal healthcare and stuff. But it's really like it's not that much difference. Like, you don't really notice it that much.
So this is in Polson, this reservation.
Yeah. So I went to school in Ronan, which is just the next town south of there. But yeah, we lived in Polson.
Right on. Yeah, I guess you probably like. I mean, obviously, I never knew that that you grew up on a reservation, but you're like, you know, you're just like.
So Polson is inside the Flathead Reservation.
Yeah, so it runs. So it runs from it's past our lease. So like Grey Wolf Casino. You know where that is?
Yep.
That's kind of where it starts, and then it runs past Elmo. So like past Polson, a little bit away into the lake, and that's where it runs.
Got it. What I mean from a person who doesn't know anything about it, like what would be the things that somebody would notice? Like if there are there things that do stand out to you, or stand out to other people that have never spent any time on a reservation?
Well, I mean, there's definitely like the culture. Like you're gonna see a lot of teepees, and they're gonna have things that are written in writing, and like our mascot, like we were the Chiefs, and there's definitely stuff like that. And then again, like they have their own like police system and healthcare. So fun fact, if you're white, like you can refuse a ticket from a tribal cop, but you have to like wait there until they call like regular police to come in, give you a ticket.
Interesting. Because it's kind of like their own legal system in a sense, right?
Yeah, like technically it's its own sovereign nation, but it's not at the same time. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's really interesting. So let's hypothetical scenario here. I'm driving 15 miles, 20 miles over the speed limit. I get pulled over, and the guy is going to give me a ticket, and I go, no, like I'm not going to take your ticket from you.
Right, you can do that, but they can call a normal cop, and you have to sit there and wait for the cop to get there and give you a ticket.
Yeah, got it. So he calls a normal cop, and the other guy, I don't know, somehow proves to him or tells him that I was 20 miles over the limit, and he gives me a ticket.
I guess.
Okay.
I've never.
That's interesting.
With that. But yeah, it's definitely that.
Does it work in reverse? Like if a white cop pulls over an Indian guy?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Man, I really got to clean up my language here.
Yes.
Y'all know what I'm saying.
Y'all feel me? We're all people.
It's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah. So I would say if that would be like a. Okay.
Another thing, you can't hunt on the reservation unless you're native. Like once you meet that certain blood cutoff, like there's no hunting season. Like you can hunt deer, elk, like anywhere on the reservation.
Just year round.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because it's just part of.
So if you weren't born in there, how does that work? Like how do you essentially become part of that?
Well, yeah, it has to be in your blood. So it goes through the tribe, and you have to prove. I forget if it's like a half or it's like a quarter. But if you've gone through and they verify that like you're a quarter Salish or something like that, then yeah, you can hunt year round. But otherwise, like that was the other reason why we didn't really hunt is you had to go off the reservation to hunt like deer, elk. But you could hunt birds, so like we could still hunt pheasants and ducks on the reservation, but you can't. Like we'd have to drive like an hour anywhere to go hunt deer.
So there's no way to be like part of that reservation unless you're born in.
Right.
That's probably good in a sense because how many people would be trying to like finagle their way into that?
Yeah, well,
probably just for hunting.
We used to joke about like trying to get like blood transfusions from like people who are native just to see if we could hit that quarter limit so we could hunt. I mean, obviously, like you'd still have to get verified, so like I highly doubt that would work.
Right.
So you graduated high school there, and then you came here to school. Is that right? Yep. So is anything like shockingly different or very different from being here in Bozeman to being like on that reservation?
Not specifically the reservation. I'll tell you what did shock me was the number of vapes and jewels. Like I'd never heard of a jewel before. Like my first day here, like everyone was.
What the hell are those things?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was really, really weird.
How long have you been in Bozeman now?
So in August it'll be 7 years.
Okay, so 7 years ago when you came to Bozeman, like that's something you noticed was like vapes and stuff.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like, what is this? And like literally everyone had them.
It was like 20.
They don't have them on the reservation?
I'm sure they did, but it wasn't like, I don't know if it was just because it was college, but like, I mean, literally like all my friends had vapes and jewels and all that.
That was 2017. Do you remember? Do you remember?
I don't think, I mean, vapes were around then, but like in my mind, but they were kind of coming
It's probably
They were
probably
kinda-
like a big part of the age demographic too.
Probably probably.
Because that I remember that's like all the kids I played baseball with, which is like, and they were all college age, and they were just cranking those vapes like it was going out of style. Those like big giant ones that you could like
the
refill.
mods.
Yeah,
And they would all practice like doing their smoke rings and stuff.
yeah. All right, so what else do you remember from the res or just growing up there? Anything distinctive?
Like about the reservation?
Yeah, or just growing up there. Any of the above?
I remember I was scared like when we first went there because again, like, you know, I knew like we'd always kind of like the reservation was supposed to be like the tough kids and all that, and so like, you know, it's kind of like, you know, like I'm not tough. Like, are these guys gonna eat me? And I remember.
Wait, so how old were you when you moved there?
13.
Yeah, that would be.
And I remember, so for some reason, there's a bar right across the street from the middle school there. And the night before, some guy got stabbed and died in that bar. So imagine on your first day of school, like we were driving to school and we had to like go across all these police lines and like all these police cars because like some dude just died. So
so you're freaking out.
It was definitely like terrifying. Like it was very, very scary. But like I said, I mean, it's really not that different.
Was there a lot of violence or crime there or not?
You know, when I was in middle school, there were fights breaking out all the time. Or I remember one dude had a lighter and some hairspray, like lit some dudes on fire
and a torch.
Yeah, basically. Like,
sounds like, I mean, it's like total middle school thing to do.
Yeah, like I said, it's really not. That could have just been.
Yeah, you know, that could have happened. That could have been happening in middle schools all across America.
Yeah, but no.
I mean, like when I think about that, I think like that could happen anywhere.
I'm probably gonna try that when I get home tonight.
Yeah,
I've always thought about it. I'm like, you know, I do want to see like how far I could shoot and all that.
Yeah. So I imagine like, so how long you lived on the reservation from 13 to what?
My parents are still in Polson.
Yeah.
So
you go back for the holidays and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm trying to go back next weekend. Actually, turkey hunting opens up, I think tomorrow,
nice.
And so I'm trying to go down and just do some turkey hunting with my dad, just because it's something that like we used to do like growing up, and it's something I haven't done since I was probably in middle school. So, but other than that, like just holidays.
You still have hang out with a bunch of buddies from high school and whatnot?
No. So I ran into one of my buddies last night at Specs, and so like he watched the fights with us. But I mean, other than that, like I really haven't. There was one other friend who like she went to school here and we kept in contact, but other than that, like I really haven't kept up.
What are you laughing?
Nothing.
What are you smirking about?
Nothing.
Just friends. She's pretty locked down.
Got it. Yeah.
I was thinking you distracted me. I'm going back to New York in 2 weeks, and I was gonna go turkey hunting with some buddies there.
Nice.
The season opens May 1st, and I'll be there till the 29th or 30th. So I'm gonna miss it by 2 days.
Gotcha.
Unless like one of us can pull off looking like we're 14 or 15 for the youth week.
Just shave your beard.
When you moved to Bozeman, did it feel like liberating? Like you were like kind of moving away from a small town, and I can imagine that like oh shit, I'm going to a bigger city.
It did, dude. I was definitely ready to move out of the house. The other thing too was, I mean, when I lived in like Louisiana and Florida, like I was super young. Like that was before I was in kindergarten. So actually like Bozeman has been like the biggest city I've lived in, period. So I remember like when I was driving in, like I felt like the traffic was like insane. I like didn't know how to turn left. Like, you know, I did, dude. So coming south on 19.
You're like this, I'm freaked out.
Well,
like, dude.
Yeah, so right over there, you know how the turnoff between Beale and 19. So my sister used to live on Beale on that side, and so like my first time coming into town, like we were gonna meet up at her house, and I had to turn left, and like it didn't have like the arrow, and I totally missed the light because of traffic, and I was like so just like freaked out and like frustrated. I was like, how am I gonna do, like, how do people do this? Like,
that is so funny, man. That's awesome. What?
I remember that feeling like driving in New York City when I was young, because you're just like, what the fuck? But like in comparison to a tiny, like when you're in a tiny town and you come somewhere like this, it just seems insane.
Yeah. So when I lived in Thompson Falls, there was one red light in the county, and it wasn't even where we lived. So like, imagine that. Like, it's literally just stop signs. Like, that's how small it is.
Yeah.
And to here.
That's how the town is that I grew up. There's one light in the center of town, and I thought it was like, that's Main Street, so I thought it was like, it might as well have been like the Strip in Vegas. Like, it seemed busy. That's where everyone was that was in town. And I'll go back there now, and I'll like sit in that stoplight. And I'm like, why is there a stoplight here? There's no one at any, like, I'm just sitting there. There's no one coming any of the other three directions, and I'm sitting at the stoplight for 10 seconds. I'm like, this should just be a 4-way stop. This is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. But when I was like 16, I was like, this is the Mecca. This is Main Street.
This is it, dude.
Okay, I have an offshoot question. Have you been to Vegas?
Yeah.
Okay.
When I was young, I haven't, but like, that's like the equivalent in my mind.
Yeah.
Was like, it was like the Strip.
Yeah.
It's like,
this
that's
is where
everyone is. Like, that was the entirety of my world at the time.
Yeah. So have you visited your brother in San Diego?
I did once a couple years ago, and he and his wife are actually thinking of moving. So I don't know, like, if I'll get to do that again. But it was cool. I loved it. Like, you know, food was really good. Like, it seems like a cool area. But
that's Kyle's homeland.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, I lived there for about 8 years, but I'm not from there, but I lived there for a while.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Where's it? Do you know where your brother's gonna move?
Dude, they tell me something different every time. Like, at first it was going to be Salt Lake, and they're like, no, we're going to stay. And then they're like, oh, we're going to come up to Bozeman. And then they're like, no, we're going to stay.
Who's this?
My brother.
Okay.
But so now they're thinking of Colorado Springs, and they're actually, it sounds like they're pretty serious about it. Like, I think they're trying to move out by like June or July. So
do they have kids or anything, or no?
No.
What's your sister-in-law do?
She's an engineer, so she works for Northrop Grumman down there. And
nice.
She's doing well.
Cool. So you're very optimistic, and I think you're
thanks, dude.
Yeah, you're very optimistic. And it's interesting. I find that you're open to like all kinds of new ideas. And so it's interesting because we're talking about somebody who grew up in a small town and now lives in a still kind of a small town when you think about like geographically across the United States. Like Bozeman's very small, right? Like
yeah.
It's still not very big. But I just find that like you're open to all kinds of new ideas. And where do you think that came from? And is your brother that way? Your parents that way? Is your sister that way? Like,
I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's just like personality, but I've just always enjoyed doing new things.
Yeah.
Why are you so much fun at the Bobcat games?
I just enjoy being there. You know, like I love football, and I love the energy of just everyone, and just being able to like just scream. It's just, you know, and just enjoy it. Like, I don't know. Like,
well, I enjoy being there 50% more if I'm there with you.
Thanks.
And I think Kyle can attest to that.
100%.
So if there's anyone associated with the Bobcats football team and they want to send a lifetime supply of tickets to Collin, you'd be doing your team a great service.
That's right. You, I would imagine you grew up playing a lot of sports.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you play?
Football, right?
Yeah. So when I was in Thompson Falls, I only had a class of 30 people, and that's boys and girls. So you kind of had to do everything, or there wasn't a team. So,
and would that include the girls too?
Well, I mean, like, we still split up like the boys and girls, but imagine for like your grade, like there was like 15 guys, and that's literally like that's the entire grade. So like growing up,
so you were playing on the basketball team, the baseball team.
Dude, I played basketball until my freshman year of high school, dude. But yeah, you know,
Yeah, but you're pretty good when we shoot hoops too.
Well, yeah, dude, that's because I've been playing for like 12 years, dude. But yeah, so did soccer growing up, basketball, baseball, track. Just kind of
God damn.
constantly.
Okay.
Yeah.
But your brother did the same?
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Did you? Sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was just like, that's cool. Like, twin brother, like you played probably almost all the sports on the same team.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're left-handed, right?
And he's right-handed.
Oh, son of a...
And I'm left eye dominant and left foot dominant, and he's right eye dominant and right foot dominant.
That's wild.
That's interesting.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That is crazy how that worked
Oh,
out.
listen to this. So, I don't know if you know this or not. If cows have if you have a set of twins from a cow and there's a boy and a girl, a lot of times the female or girl will be...
Thanks for that clarification, Tim.
You're welcome. I'm here for you, for the audience. So the female calf, they call it a free martin. Essentially, like a lot of times the female, and I'm not a scientist or a doctor, but the
free martin.
Yeah, free martin. The female like usually won't have like I don't know if some like parts of like her some parts of her reproductive system will just not be there, but like the male will like take essentially like steal most of that when they're growing. So like usually the farmer will never keep that female calf because it like won't be able to reproduce. It's like it's very fairly common because the male will just be like more dominant in the womb and steal like all the nutrients and everything. Go men.
Yeah,
but
dude, that's exactly how my brother and I are. He's the free martin and I'm the...
I didn't know it. I didn't know.
He's not here to defend him.
Yeah, that's really not fair.
He's never gonna listen to this.
Sorry, Matthew. Just wait. That's what they all think.
Matthew, we will allow you to come on our show and defend yourself.
We'll have a proper debate. I wonder if there's any science to that with humans.
Yeah, I wonder.
I mean, because or just you would think in theory, right? I don't know why it would work any different in a human body. Because they're just competing, like the fetuses are just competing to survive, essentially.
You know, I've heard that with other animals too. Just like if they have a bunch of young, like often, like whatever reason, like the parents can't support all of them, so they'll all just like fight to the death, and then whoever gets out, that's who gets to go on.
That's so weird. Anyway,
what a world we live in.
Free martins.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably like one of the 3 people that listen to this will be one of my dairy farmer friends. I'm like, Tim, you're such an idiot. That's not what happened. But I know it's something like that.
Was your kind of growing up playing sports, did that kind of have an impact on you, to go into exercise science? Is that why you went into it? Not related? Do you think it's related?
I'm sure it is, dude. Just always doing sports. I really got into lifting in high school. Like that's kind of what I started. Because when we moved to...
We can tell there's video on this podcast that people can tell you got into lifting.
But yeah, anyway, so stopped doing basketball. And it was only doing football and track, but that's really what I was doing. Like in all my free time, like I was looking up like YouTube videos, super into like lifting weights. Like I kept getting like trying to convince my mom to get me like protein powder and all that stuff. So
yeah,
but yeah, and I kind of think I remember talking to my dad about, because like I kind of knew I wanted to go to college, and like he kind of suggested that, and it just made sense. I was like, that's kind of how I spent all my time anyway.
What did you weigh in high school?
Probably like
getting pretty personal.
Probably like 155, 170.
What do you weigh now?
185.
Son of a bitch.
Which is funny
because you probably put on 10 or 15 of those pounds because of lifting.
Well, what's funny is I've basically like almost stopped lifting. Like all I do is jujitsu, so like I don't know if it's just like gear weight and I just keep eating, but yeah, It seems like every year I just get a little bit heavier.
Yeah, but you're still like annoyingly strong, and I don't know. So maybe youth is on your side right now.
What events did you do for track?
I did pole vault. Was actually all state for that.
Dude.
No mean to brag or
Hell
anything.
yeah. Dude, I always thought pole vault was like the craziest thing.
Dude.
Like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm going to run as fast as I can. I'm going to shove this freaking pole in this hole. And then,
whoa.
And then
what is this sport?
It's going to freaking boom. It's going to boomerang me over this bar. Like, that is absurd.
Yeah, I remember just watching it just as a kid, just being like 10 years old or whatever. And I remember just looking at it and I was like, that's so cool. Like, I want to do that.
I can see that. I kind of want to do it right now.
It's fun. Like, you feel like you're flying. Like, it's awesome.
I mean, you are. How high did you go? How high did you pole vault?
12.6 was my best.
All right.
It's up there.
Yeah. So pole vault.
Yep. And then I was a sprinter. So I did 100, 200, 100 and 400 to relays. And then sometimes I would do the 400 too.
Okay. What's your 400 time? Best 400 time.
Well, so it was in a relay, it was 52 seconds, but I think on its own it was like 54.
How's that work?
I don't know if it's just like the pressure of like being on a team and being like, I need to hand the stick off to the next dude like as fast as possible.
Yeah. There's more adrenaline or
yeah, and like you've got, I mean, everyone's watching it because that's always the last track event. So like everything else is done and like everyone's just crowded.
Yeah. So 52, that's pretty good.
Did you play any sports at Montana State or no?
Mm-mm. I tried to walk on for track, but they were like, nope, we don't want you.
Sons of bitches.
I remember I sent an email and they're like, we have pole vaulters that do 15 feet. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're Division I track at school, right?
Yeah.
So people are running the 400 in like 47s, 48s.
Mm-hmm.
You tell me. That's kind of what I would think. They're running in 47, 48s.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what they're running in, but I'm sure.
Yeah.
What was your favorite sport growing up? So
soccer was my favorite sport growing up until I was in 8th grade, and then it kind of started becoming gay. So, I was like, why are my brother and I the only guys who are doing this anymore? You know,
you just insulted Kyle in so many levels.
Right there.
Is that you?
That's me. Anyway,
Kyle still plays soccer to this day. He played soccer last night.
Soccer, I mean, dude.
So basically, you hit puberty, and then you realize.
But that seriously was a driving factor. I was like, dude, all my friends are like doing football, and none of them think soccer's cool. So that's when I switched over.
And if you're in that small of a group of friends too,
yeah,
I could see that. Yeah,
I was like, there's only like 15 of us.
If you go against the group,
some people just can't handle the social pressure.
I can't. I'm weak, dude.
If you go against the, I was gonna say no pun intended. If you go against the tribe,
right,
doesn't go well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so 5 to 13 soccer was my favorite sport. Mm-hmm. And then, I mean, switching like after that, maybe football. Definitely to watch, like football was my favorite, and now it's jiu-jitsu. So
jiu-jitsu.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you moved to Montana State, or I guess you moved to Bozeman to go to Montana State.
Mm-hmm.
And you just automatically declared exercise science from the beginning? You knew that's what you wanted to do, or you changed majors? Like, how'd
yes, I started off with exercise science, did like 3 years of that. Wasn't really sure like what I wanted to do. I actually switched to criminology. Like my 3rd semester, I was watching a lot of
Law and Order,
a lot of Jocko Willink, and I forget who else. But yeah, like that was my, I just was really inspired by that, and I was like, I just want.
Why would Jocko inspire criminology?
Well, I liked those kinds of guys, and so for a while, like I thought I wanted to like join the military,
and then
become a police officer after that.
I gotcha.
But Yeah, but I just like no one supported me. Like I'm serious, dude. Like all my family, like everyone was like, "This is dumb. Like this is stupid. Why are you doing that?" And I think the more I was thinking about it, the more I was like, maybe I'm just chasing is like it's just like glory or whatever that was in my head. And so I really thought about it and I was like, I don't really think this is what I want. Like it's just specific aspects of what I wanted.
Well, that can happen. Sometimes it's like you watch podcasts too much and then you think you should start doing your own.
Yeah.
And you realize how stupid you are.
Yeah.
That's not how this started.
100%.
You got to be careful about what you consume too much.
Well, so I have I guess different question, but did your family, were they vocal about that? Were they clear about that, or was that perceived in your mind of like, oh, they don't want me to do this?
Probably some perceived, but I remember like telling my parents like I wanted to like, maybe just drop out and like join the military, and they both thought I was crazy, and they're like, you will never like that. Like that is so stupid. Like why are you doing this? And then like even I don't know, like even like our family friends, like I just felt like they treated me differently after that. I didn't feel like anyone I talked to about it thought it was a good idea. And so then I started thinking, I was like, maybe they're right. And like, maybe I'm not actually thinking of this on a realistic point.
What do you think now?
I'm fine with it. I think that's probably right. I mean,
usually I think that's how I make my decisions. If everyone thinks it's a bad idea, I'm like, yeah, I should probably do it. look at everyone else. They all seem pretty miserable, so I should probably do this.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I'm pretty happy with where I'm at now. But yeah, so I think it was a good call.
I could see it. If you'd asked me, I'd have been like, yeah, I could see this. You could definitely be a cop. Like jiu-jitsu, you're like, you're badass. Like, yeah, like you could be a cop. Like,
do you think they said that because like they thought that you'd be missing out on like a college, like whether a college degree and some of that experience, meaning like, yeah, I think you could be an amazing cop, or you would have been great in the military. But what I'm getting at is that's not necessarily what they were pushing you away from. They're pushing you away from like, okay, if you go do that, you might miss out on another opportunity.
I think for them, it was, for one, it was dangerous. They were like, if you do this, like there's a chance you could get killed, or like, they've had friends who are cops who, are kind of jaded just with the profession, just because they're like, I mean, you're constantly dealing with bad guys, and like you always have just like see like that's kind of your view of humanity, and like that's what you see every day is like you're just dealing with
the bad side of people,
terrible people. And then like I had an uncle who was in the military, and he was super jaded by it too. So I think it was coming from a good place, but they just didn't want me to end up just being, I think in their mind, I wasn't thinking it through, and that they were just kind of being like, from our experience, like these people who have gone in don't like this, and they didn't want that either. So
I remember your buddy that was out here from, I think he was from San Francisco, but I'd heard this when I did that, like the ride around with the firefighters. This was a few years ago, but I was like passively thinking about like, oh, that'd be cool to be like try to become a Bozeman firefighter, and I did a ride around with him. A friend of mine that I know who does that, he's like, yeah, the one thing they don't tell you about is the high divorce rate, the high risk of cancer, and like honestly like the high depression.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about like the shifts that you work, just the stuff you see every day, what you're exposed, like the chemicals and stuff you could be exposed to, and just like you do see a lot of like, if you're going on all those EMT calls and fire calls and car accidents, after a while like that, I'm sure there's PTSD from that. But I'm sure that, I guess what I'm saying though is that's probably pretty similar with a cop. Like,
yeah,
it could be worse with a cop, but in some ways.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely folks in the first responder community that, after like seeing all that stuff that they see, like they have a hard time dealing with it at times. So yeah, makes sense.
We'll have to get someone on here who's your buddy would have been a good one.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I was also thinking when you were saying this, and it makes me want to ask my brother. So, I don't know if he said this on the podcast when we talked to him. I guess we could listen to it. But he said for a long time he wanted to be a doctor, and then he got like, this is at least when he was in college or there. He's like, no, he's like, from what I understand, like the money's not really worth it. And that, like, that's what he says is his deciding factor. I'm sure there could have been plenty of other variables. And our grandfather was a pediatrician, so like, it always made sense to me. I'm like, oh, like his grandfather's a doctor. Maybe that was his thing. He's like, no, the money's not, it's like, it's too much debt and not any money. So I don't know what your thoughts are on those.
I've definitely seen it, dude. One of the docs I work for, orthopedic surgeon, super busy, sees like 40 patients a day, is on call on top of that, and he just always seems kind of like jaded. Like he's always telling me like you should go into insurance, and I feel like it's kind of like I feel like it's kind of like a joke, but I also know like in there like there's some truth in it, because he's told me like multiple times like for the amount of effort that he's had to put in, like he feels like to be where he's at in his life and like how much success he's had and like all that, like it could have taken a lot less effort with a different career. But I've also seen other docs who just love their job, and they come in and they're always in a good mood and don't seem like they can get enough of it.
So I'd be pretty optimistic for you, probably regardless of your career path, just because you generally are really optimistic. Would you agree with that, Kyle?
Yeah, and I would say that like it doesn't really matter like what industry you're in. Like we were just talking about, like first responders or whatever. You could go down like all these different jobs, right? Mm-hmm. I think over time you learn how to deal with the stuff that you have to deal with, right? It takes some people longer than others to kind of get there, and then some people don't ever get there, right? Like meaning like the chaos is always there, and they don't learn how to actually deal with it. And then some people figure it out really quickly, and they're like, they kind of shrug it off, and they're like, look, this is part of the thing I do, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know that it really matters. I think you'll learn what you want to deal with and what you don't, and what you'll accept and what you won't.
Where are you currently with your medical career path?
So the primary applications start in June. So like right now I'm writing personal statement, experience block, stuff like that. So once that's done, I've got like 2 months before my secondaries come out. And then like it's more essays. I have to submit all those. And then I basically get like 4 or 5 months just until they start giving out interviews. And then, it's a little bit of a wait after that. And then, if you're in or you're not. And then if you are in, then that summer is when you would get started.
Do you have anywhere in particular you're trying to get to or hoping to go?
I mean, it doesn't really matter a ton to me. I would love to do University of Washington just because they've got a program where I could be here the first 2 years. Nice. And I think that would be great. Like I've already, I've got friends here. Like I feel like there's a lot of good things about Bozeman, and I would love to stay here if I can. But at some point, I'm going to have to leave too. But definitely like Montana schools, like here, Billings. I don't really want to live in Great Falls.
Nothing against Great Falls.
But I mean, other than that, like it doesn't matter too much. Like Boise, I would look pretty seriously into. Utah, I mean, at that point too, it's where I go is just going to depend on like location. If it has things that I like, I mean, other than that, like I don't think the schooling's going to be too different. Like I'm not going to be getting into like Harvard, or John Hopkins or anything like that. So
we'll see.
We'll see.
Well, if he doesn't apply,
I was going to say if you don't apply, it's kind of hard to get in.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm like a. Oh man, I'm trying not to make this sound sexist. Oh well, I'm like a girl in high school who's like, no, don't leave, don't go to that college or something. I'm like, don't leave, Collin. Can't you just finish your entire medical career here?
I wish. Dude.
Man, he's just gonna leave us. I'm just gonna be just another friend leaving us in the dust.
Well, I mean, like
now you're the high school boyfriend trying to lie to me. And
no, baby Tim, we can do long distance. We got Zoom. FaceTime.
All right, man, just go. It's what you need to do.
It's
Bro, just go.
yeah. I mean, you guys will get me for at least one more year.
It's one more season of Bobcats.
One more season of
But
Bobcats.
you can come back for games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll fly you in.
Yeah.
Of course.
We'll
dude.
fly you in.
Yeah. Thank you.
If this thing takes off the way it should, we'll be flying you in for a podcast and a Bobcat game and the whole weekend. And then what we're going to do, mark my words, because this is being recorded, we're going to sit down to do this podcast. We'll be in some elaborate studio, and we're all just going to be decked out in Bobcats gear. We're going to be wearing like big hats. We're going to have flags everywhere.
We'll be like set up in our bar. Just
yeah, exactly. That's an idea.
That would be cool. That would be cool.
I don't know if maybe you met him. You might have met one of my clients at the football game. I won't say his name because this is a big podcast, but he got married in our bar.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet, dude.
He's like, and he's always the Bobcat games. He's epic, but yeah.
I think did we meet it like
at the game? Right
outside.
Yeah, him and his wife, and they got married
I think
in like the wedding ceremony in the R bar.
That's sick, dude.
Yeah, so legendary. His wife was like later, she's like, I was thinking about it. I was like, yes, it's kind of sad probably for like my parents and my dad that we didn't have like a real wedding in a church or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Where'd they get married?
In the R bar.
Oh, you're still talking. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
She was like thinking that in hindsight. She didn't really think about it.
I got you.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, we should do a podcast in the R bar. That'd be a nightmare.
Yeah, it wouldn't. I don't think it would go well.
Yeah. We'd have to. Maybe they would like let us do it in the morning.
Yeah,
like when they're closed. Yeah.
Mm.
We'd have to pull that connection card with Blank's name, who I just didn't say, who got married there.
Right.
Hey, can you set this up? This is important. We got a doctor flying in, and we're just trying to do a podcast for the Bobcats because we have the #1 Montana State Bobcat fan here. Just an idea.
Yeah. Not a bad one. All right. So when did you get into jiu-jitsu?
Well, so I started like as soon as I got to Bozeman. But I remember in high school, like I had the UFC games like on my Xbox.
Oh, sick.
And so like I used to play those. And then so originally I wanted to do MMA. And so there was a jiu-jitsu club on campus, there was a taekwondo club on campus, and there was also kickboxing. And so I was just doing all three of them.
At Montana State.
Yeah. So in the gym, like before the roof collapsed, like they had like they had like all these different clubs and stuff there that you could just be a part of. So I just signed up to a bunch of different clubs. Through those, I liked jiu-jitsu the best. And then so they stopped doing the club there, and then I just kind of missed it. And so I just went and talked to Brian, started training then.
Nice.
So that was like 2020, 2021.
2017. Well, that was when I started training. So it was 2017 is when I started training, but it was very hit or miss. Like I wasn't super into it. There was a fee to go. Like I think it was like $50.
Didn't the roof cave in like 2020?
Yeah, but I'm just saying like before. Sorry, so unrelated to that.
Okay.
So they only did the campus only did the club the first year I was in there. So yeah, Eric Borner, like
yeah,
he was the coach in there, and then they had the Anthony, who was a black belt who used to come down. But yeah, so did that for a year, super hit or miss, and then like so the fall of 2018 they didn't have it anymore, and I was like, I missed this, like where can I go do it? And then that's when I was like, oh, Montana MMA. So I just started doing that.
Sick.
Such sick, dude.
Most sick.
Biggest sick.
Who's stronger, you or Tim?
Why do we all have to start acting like 24-year-olds when Collin comes in for the podcast?
Because it's fun.
There's only one way to find out. I'd say I don't know. Like I think I'm pretty strong, but I think Collin might be stronger.
What do you think, Collin?
Look at the size of the arms on that man. That man's he's barely a man. He's an old boy or a very young man. He's got arms on him.
Old boy. You're an old boy.
You could say he's a good old boy.
A good old boy.
Yeah.
Exactly. I don't know, dude. You definitely probably lift more than I do, so I think you would.
Just imagine if you lifted.
I know, dude.
Yeah, maybe. But I would say most of my strength came from the farm, not from the lifting.
Oh, gotcha.
I would argue that.
Carrying jugs of milk around.
Yeah, carrying just like, and we carried them like this all the time, which it didn't make sense to me. But that's how I carried them.
You're an idiot.
Colin, this is like a real philosophical question. What's the most important thing or the best thing you've learned from jiu-jitsu?
Just don't give up.
Oh, great answer.
Well, dude, when I started, like, I was just getting smashed by everybody, and like even guys who were like smaller than me, and I was like, and it just took forever to get good. Like, I kind of thought, like, I remember when I first started, I thought like blue belt was like out of reach. I was like, I'm never gonna make this level. Like, these people are so good. But just being there and like sticking with it every day, like, you just kind of grow, and then like kind of like your view changes. So now, like, I've been a blue belt for 2 years, but that kind of thought
should be a purple belt.
No, Brian.
Hope he's not listening.
But anyway, yeah, like, it just kind of changes, and like I don't see really boundaries like that anymore. It's just different. Same thing when I was like studying for the MCAT, or anything that I've done is hard. Like, just because it's been hard today doesn't mean that it's always going to be like that. Like, just as long as like you keep going and like trying to get better, like, you will. So
I don't know if you feel like that, but that was actually a great answer. Just never give up.
Oh, thanks.
I don't know if you felt like this too when you were a white belt, but I would like see the blue belts or the purple belts, and I would just think they seemed like that was like 10 years and 100 miles away. Like,
yeah,
I was like, whoa, like those guys have been here forever. They just like, they know so much, and I'm so stupid. And then it's like, now if you think sometimes, like, like people are actually looking at us like that now, and like we're just like, it's very weird to like.
And you guys are just stupid.
Yeah,
dude, so stupid. Like,
but you just never. I don't know. It's weird to look at that with that perspective later. Like, oh yeah, this was like. Now you could apply this to anything else in life.
It makes you appreciate like how far you've come.
Yeah, that's the one thing I love about it. Is just the belts, because you actually see, like, you have some sort
progression.
Of like, you can see it. It's not just like if someone just tells you you're getting better, like, it's your opinion, man. But like, I mean, it's still sort of an opinion if they give you a belt, but it doesn't really lie. Yeah, that's it. What else? Any other jiu-jitsu questions, Kyle? Ooh, what about the guy that you choked unconscious in Salt Lake? Do you have anything to say to him or his family?
Dude, super nice dude. Like, I've seen him at tournaments afterwards, and he'll just come up and we're like, dude, what's going on? We'll just like catch up. Just talk about.
Turn around and give him CPR or what?
No, so they actually drug him by his feet over to.
I remember this vividly.
They like drug.
Get out of here.
Drug him back, and they like stood him up or whatever. We did like the hand raise, and then like pulled him off to the wall. And just like put his feet up against the wall, so like the blood would come back into his head. And he only had one match in between before he had to get back, and he totally like went through the rest of the tournament and did it. So
Colin's like sitting there, and we look, and this guy's just like laying on Colin, and he's like not moving.
Oh, well, it was funny too, because I was on his back, so like I couldn't see his face.
So he was conscious for the hand raise. He just was hard.
Yeah, like
he was out of it.
Yeah, but they definitely like pushed me off of him and like had to wake him up.
I did see that person they just grab him by his legs and just dragging him away. It's like a dead body.
But yeah, so I was on his back, and I was going for what do you call it, like a
cross collar choke?
Well, I think it's like a double lapel,
okay,
or whatever.
I think it's cross collar. I don't know if it's called that from the back or not, but
I don't know. Anyway,
you're choking the shit out of it.
So like, it wasn't tight, and I just remember like my grip was failing, and so like I kept like readjusting, and Brian kept telling me like these instructions, and I was getting so frustrated because I was like, I'm trying so hard, and this guy's not even defending it.
That's because he was
All my
out.
friends are watching and like I must suck. And then like the ref looked at me and he just like tapped and like pushed me off. And then yeah, he was out. Definitely made me feel better. Like,
Yeah, so you thought you were doing a bad job, and this guy was
Yeah.
out.
I was like, holy shit, dude! Like, I must suck at this.
Oh, so funny.
That's interesting.
But then didn't Evan get you at our gym?
Yeah, he did, dude. We were at so we were just rolling, and he had me. I think it's the Matt Hughes choke.
But it's he just taught that the other night.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it gives me flashbacks every time. A little bit of PTSD whenever he teaches it. But it's like a short darce, right? And but I remember he like got the grip and like my neck was tickling and I was like, oh, this feels really deep. But I was like, this isn't legit. Like he doesn't have it fully locked in. I was like, I'll just keep getting really triggered.
Sorry, we didn't. I didn't. We don't have. Hey, we don't have to talk about this.
It's okay.
Shout out to Evan.
It's okay. Yeah, shout out to Evan. But yeah, so I was like, I'll just keep going. And then next thing I knew, I woke up. But the craziest thing though, so I had a dream that I was in a Pokemon. And then like I could hear my breath, but like my eyes were closed. But it's like you're breathing super hard because you've been on. So it's like, and then like I started coming to, and I was like, oh my god, did I just take a nap on the gym? I was like, why would I do that? Like I woke up and Evan was like, dude, are you okay? And I was like, what happened? He was like, you went out. And I was like, oh my god. And then I thought I shit myself. So
Wait, hold on. How is this related to the dream? And you mean like this was happening all while you were laying there?
So he choked me unconscious.
Yeah.
And while I was asleep, I had this dream that I was in a Pokemon.
No.
Yes,
dude,
I
what?
did. Like that's seriously what was going on in my head. And then like I said, I started coming to and I was so confused. I was like, why am I like sleeping on the mat? Like that's super weird. And then Evan came and talked to me and was like, dude, like you okay? And then like I said, I just had to run to the bathroom immediately and go check. But
that's so funny. I've come close so many times. I don't know. And like knock on wood, I've been good. But I like there's sometimes when we were doing that Shark Tank, there was a few times I was like, I might go out. I was like, whatever, I'm not tapping, and like the minute just ended or whatever.
It hurts for a couple days. Like I had like a kind of like a head. If like you've been swimming in a pool, you just feel for a while like you just feel that pressure kind of build up like behind your eyes. It just felt like that, but it was like for a couple days afterwards.
Weird. It's weird because I think like at least I know when I'm like close to going out, I'm like, oh no, I'm still breathing, I'm okay. But then I'm thinking like it's not about the breath, it's about the blood to your brain. But like I think I would at least tell myself, oh, I'm breathing, I'm fine. But like, yeah, you can be breathing. That's not like your blood's getting cut off when you get choked unconscious.
For me, like you start to feel like woozy and then you just go to sleep. So like as long as I feel, if it hurts still, I know I'm okay. But like when it starts, like you can kind of just feel everything.
So funny.
You have to kickstart that Pokemon dream again.
What do you mean?
I mean, just like on a normal night, see what happens in that dream.
I know, dude.
Yeah, I wonder if this has happened a few times to me. I've taken a yoga class and they'll do what do they do at the end?
Shavasana.
I think it's
what do they do at the end?
I think it's the Shavasana, or like it'll just be like a certain position. It'll be like lay down or whatever. Like I'll fall asleep, and then I wake up and I'm like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah,
and like I'm freaked out because I'm laying in a room with a bunch of like
strangers.
Yeah, like, but like it's great. Like I wake up in a room with a bunch of chicks in spandex. And I'm like, whoa, but it's the weirdest feeling in the world is like when you wake up in a situation like that. Like maybe that parallels how you felt a little bit. I don't know. Like it's weird.
I just remember I was super confused, and then I was like, why? Like, because I was tired before then, so I thought that like I took a nap, but I was like, there's no way. Like that's super weird. I wouldn't do that. And then, but at least with the yoga, like at least it feels good afterwards.
Yeah. I guess so. So what else? What's going on in your life these days, Collin? Current times. We just went through your whole life story. That was pretty boring. But what are you up to today?
Just working, dude. Like trying to get everything in and then apply. I quit my hotel job last weekend.
Nice.
So
and I'll be able to I got 1 month, and then I'll be able to get you on the.
Yep, and then I'll start working for Mountain Mule Transportation.
You son of a bitch. I'm going to blow up and then need to implode. Damn it. We're going to edit that out. It's going to say McDonald's in Bozeman. God. Leave it be.
Yes, I mean, other than that, I'm a TA on campus. I teach an organic chemistry lab.
That's fun. What's that like?
It's cool, dude. Like, I like teaching. It's like that stuff's really fun, and I like getting see the same students every day or every week and see how that goes. But what's kind of frustrating is I haven't looked at any of this stuff in 2 years, so I'm always having to constantly review and do that. And I feel like, honestly, just with my schedule and stuff, I don't have enough time to do that. I feel like there's times where I'm not doing a good job of explaining the material, and I think I could use more time on that. But overall, it's fun. I like teaching, and it's cool stuff.
What do you just once a week you do that?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So yep, Friday afternoons.
Sweet.
Yep. So doing that, I've got research I'm doing. So end of next month, I got to go to Boston.
Oh, nice. What are you doing there?
It's a conference. I get to present.
Oh, sick.
For the American College Sports Medicine or whatever.
You could tell people if they ask if they want to learn more about you, you can send them this episode.
I could. I'd be like, excuse all the stuff about the Indians.
Please disregard all that. Consider this a non-formal resume. I gotta pee. You guys need anything?
No, I'm good. What's the research specifically on?
So it's on cottonseed oil. So I'm an undergraduate assistant in the nutrition lab on campus. And I've been doing that for 2 years. So they've got a bunch of different studies they're working on. So one of them, they were looking at how kind of high fat diet affects inflammation in the body. Another one, they're looking at differences, kind of a similar thing between.
What do you know about that one?
Not much at all. Okay. I've helped run just tests and just be there with data, but that's not I was barely doing that one. They did another one that had something to do with comparing beef and Wagyu beef. Again, that's not really one I've been working on, but the main one we've been doing has been on cottonseed oil. So something recently they found out over the last couple of years is that cottonseed oil, it improves people's cholesterol mainly by lowering their low density lipoproteins or their triglycerides. But some of the data, they've either used really high amounts or they've used it adjusted for a certain. I think one of them was 44% of the people's daily energy needs was coming from the oil. So kind of. Yeah, it is, and so kind of one of the things we were looking at is, is there a dose where this starts to happen, and then what different dosages are. So I think the recommended dietary intake is 30 grams a day of oil, and so far what we found is 60 grams is where you start to see a difference. So
how many when I think about grams, how many ounces is that?
I have no idea.
Okay,
it's a great question.
Because I think I don't know. I think about oil as I guess a liquid.
I don't know. I don't think it's a lot.
Okay.
I don't know exactly how it transfers out, but I think it's something 3 teaspoons or tablespoons.
Well, that's not. That doesn't seem like much.
It's not much.
Okay.
I don't think.
Got it. But so you're saying that at you said 60?
Yep. So it's 60 grams.
At 60 grams, then it starts to have a positive impact.
Yeah, and I'd have to go back and look at the data. I don't know how clinically relevant it is, if it's a big drop, but we definitely notice there is it does decrease.
Interesting.
So
okay, I've got a number for you. 1 ounce equals 28.35 grams.
So how do you visualize that though?
1 ounce. I mean,
For
an
like,
ounce
for a liquid too.
It's like if this is 12 ounces, so that's
1
12.
ounce equals 28 grams.
Yeah.
And you said 60 grams?
60 grams.
So you're saying
2
like
ounces.
3 ounces.
So like
Sure.
a quarter.
No, yes, two.
A quarter of a beer.
2 ounces.
2 ounces.
Okay.
So 2 ounces of oil, you start to have positive health benefits, is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
This is sunflower seed oil?
Cottonseed oil.
Cottonseed oil. Interesting.
Which is interesting because it's mainly used for like cooking junk food, like popcorn. Like that's kind of what they cook it in. So it's kind of, they think it's kind of misunderstood and that there's some property in it that's actually beneficial.
Because from what I understand, a lot of seed oils are very bad for you.
Mm-hmm. You know, and they're high in saturated fat.
All the
too.
refined oils. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so you're studying kind of the potentially the misconceptions of it or kind of in more detail.
Yeah, and again, I'm just an assistant too, so it's not like this was my idea or anything, but yeah.
Nice. I'll be right back.
All right, now that Kyle's gone. Oh, Collin, we're going to go back to jiu-jitsu. Sorry. Cottonseed oil is really interesting.
I can tell.
What's your favorite jiu-jitsu submission?
Dude, my best one is actually a Japanese necktie.
Yep.
So I've had more of those than anything else in competition, which I don't understand why. Because I feel like, I don't know, like I feel like rear nakeds and stuff would just happen, but that's just what works for me.
Yeah, I feel like I've tried it so many times and I just can't figure it out. What's your best tournament memory?
Getting the guy unconscious was really cool.
Can you tell that story again?
Well, for any of you who missed that part, I think they're always so much fun, and like sometimes I've performed better than like I thought I would. And those have definitely been the most fun.
I remember one in Helena. You have to remember this, or I think you would. I know I was a white belt, and you were a white belt. You were doing a blue belt tournament, and you were just dominating.
Yeah, I won it.
You were like, I'm like, who is that guy? And you're just like, yo. You were like just running through all the blue belts like it was nobody's business.
Dude, I was so scared. I was like, I'm gonna have like my arm ripped off, or like something's bad's gonna happen. Like I honestly like did not think I was gonna do well.
Did you win every one by sub?
No. I don't think, I think I won most of them by points actually. But yeah, that was just really cool because it's totally unexpected. So.
Have you won a blue belt one since you've been a blue belt?
No.
Son of a...
No, I haven't. Isn't that funny?
Yeah. You were just like on another level that day. I remember it.
Yeah. I don't know what happened.
Yeah. I haven't done one in a while with you.
Dude, not since the summer. And I remember, so I got my knee popped during one of the matches, and I like finished it out, but like that still was like kind of hurt for a while. And then I ended up getting heel hooked in practice back in October, and that took like,
I remember, yeah.
Like I could do everything that I wanted to do, but it was just with jiu-jitsu, like I couldn't use that leg. Like I think it was just like the angles and with the pulling. But that took like over 3 months before I could finally like do jiu-jitsu pain-free. So I definitely want to do more tournaments, but I'm also kind of skeptical because I don't want to mess my knees up as well. Like I know
anyone you want to call out for that heel hook or no?
Yeah, Quinn.
That son of a bitch. That makes sense.
He didn't mean to, you know. Like it started as a toe fold, and I think he was totally thinking it was going to be a toe fold too, and then just like how he twisted, like my knee just started bending, and then and he was super, like he felt so bad too. So I don't blame him, but yeah,
I would blame him.
I do.
He's kind of malicious. He's a little bit malicious.
I do blame him. But...
So if there's a bunch.
I gotta go fix a problem. I'll be back.
Okay. Kyle's got adult problems. So you're gonna do any this summer or no?
I'd like to. I think maybe after the primaries are done, because I'm just gonna have time where I'm not really doing much anyway. But yeah, probably like July.
I just saw an email for a July one. I think it's Helena.
Really? Oh, perfect. That'd be easy.
We should do that for old time's sake.
Mm-hmm.
We should probably go visit. Zach Fowler in Austin too.
Dude, next summer we should.
Yeah. We should make arrangements now because there's certain comedy places that are booked out for like 10 months.
Really?
Yeah. So we should probably get our stuff now. Kyle would probably do that too, right, Kyle? You'd go to Austin to hang out, right? Yeah.
What if we did it like this fall? Because I don't know where I'm going to be next summer.
Yeah, we should do it.
So yeah,
we should just plan it. We plan it before we have other plans. It'll happen.
Yeah, or I guess we just have to see like how early we could get them with those comedy clubs, and I guess like what we want to do.
All good in the hood.
All good in the hood.
All fixed.
Yeah, the dog was just barking at the neighbors.
All right, jiu-jitsu, research projects, teacher assistant. What else? Got anything else we want to cover? No?
I don't know.
Collin, you got anything else you want to put in here? Into the vault?
Why? I got okay. You gotta put your game face on. Okay. Back when you were like 13 playing soccer.
That was gay.
Yeah.
You remember when you stopped being your mom's best friend, Collin?
Why should one of these medical schools accept you versus another candidate?
That's hard, dude. I don't know
what makes you unique and special.
Well, that's hard to answer because I don't feel like I feel like it's hard to like point like me versus someone else. I know that like I'm pretty sure this is what I want to do, and I think I would do a good job with it. But it's hard for me to pick like one reason like why I would be better than anyone else. You know?
Yeah, I guess maybe not better. Maybe that was a poorly worded question. But like, what makes you unique? And why should they accept you?
Well, like I said, I'm pretty dedicated. Like I don't mind. Like I know what I'm getting into for the most part. I'm not afraid to do the work.
Yeah.
And all that. And, I think I'm doing this for the right reasons. And so I think I would be a good candidate for that.
Yeah.
So.
And on top of that, just how fun is he to be around?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
there's that too.
Bob. That's just like icing on the cake.
I think there's a lot of good reasons why they should accept you.
Why is that?
Well, because just all the things that you just mentioned on the podcast. You talked about never giving up. I don't know. I think you have a unique background where like other people might be more cookie cutter.
Mm-hmm.
And
He's saying you'd really work for the DEI.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
I'm just kidding. We're gonna edit that out too.
We don't have to edit that out, but that's not what I'm saying.
It's a bad joke. Sorry.
Anyway, yeah, I just think that you have different experience than most people as a human being. Not necessarily like if you look at your stats versus somebody else's stats, specifically in the medical field. Yeah, then maybe there's not a difference, right? But if you're only looking at somebody's stats in the medical field, then you're looking at such a small window. There's so much more about people.
There's still a person outside of that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's so many more things about a person than what meets their stats, right? And so, like, there's people that go to Harvard or Stanford, or you mentioned another school, Johns Hopkins, right?
Yeah.
And like they might have great stats, right? But like, what else do they have going on? I don't know, right? Like, you'll meet people from all walks of life, and somebody who impresses you may not impress you on paper.
Gotcha.
I feel like jiu-jitsu is like I know people put it on their job resumes, but like it's like I feel like that really carries some weight. Like if you like can commit to that and accomplish ranks.
It's influenced me in a lot, and it's something that I've done for a while. So I think so.
I don't know if you've noticed like a lot of like upper people in our gym, or like the highest belts, are generally like very successful people that like have worked very hard at something, and you kind of see the correlation that because they've worked that hard to to attain a black belt or a brown belt. So, and so that's like a pretty broad statement because some are just fucking idiots and probably losers too. But
anyone you want to give a shout out to there, Tim? We're on the topic.
But generally, I think most of them are like hardworking individuals that want to accomplish things. So anyway, that's my 2 cents.
That makes a lot of sense.
All right. We're going to wrap this up.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Collin.
We'll catch you next time in the Beat Lab.
Thank you,
Hey, man.
guys.